Hello and happy new year. I am Jesse Jackson, and joining me today to catch up is my good friend, filmmaker David Barry. Hey, David, you got anything going on in your life?
Just a little bit. If I look tired, it's because I'm kind of burning the midnight oil like us. And we've
Yeah.
been we needed to do an update, and I've just been so busy, and then you've gotten busy, but it's just time. So I just wanted to hop on with you and give everybody an update. I am just really pleased with how the film is coming together, how it looks, how it sounds. Technology has moved forward in just amazing ways that are allowing me to do things that I could have only dreamed about even on the last film I made. It's incredible. Even from the time that I launched the campaign till now, how it's changed is incredible. So it's literally like whatever I envisioned in my mind, I'm actually being able to completely do.
What is it like, if you can tell me in general terms?
You'll see a lot of it. You even saw hints of it in the trailer, right?
Yes.
A lot of people saw pictures that were like video, but they weren't. It was actually a photo that I used artificial intelligence to turn into video. A great example of that would be Anne with the red hat and Bruce in front of her in the trailer. That was
Yeah.
a photo. That wasn't footage. And
Wow.
but it's moving footage now, right? These tools, and you have to use a few tools together combined to make it work. But basically, what I can do now is there are so many instances that come up in a film. There's a fan named Amir who was born in Iran,
Okay.
and he's an American and he's a doctor now. He lives in California, I believe, but lifelong Bruce Springsteen fan. Discovered Bruce Springsteen on radio in Iran when there was no American radio there. It was just
Wow.
coming into the country, crossing borders like radio waves can, and the kids could pick it up. And that's where he discovered Bruce Springsteen. He discovered the first song he heard was Dancing in the Dark. So, you're cutting together this story, and in order to get everybody into a film like this, I got to keep everybody's stories concise. So it means a lot of edit points, and I've got to cover it with things, right, to make it feel and flow. But if you were to try and find a photograph of a 14-year-old Iranian kid listening to a radio in his room, you're not going to find any stock media for something like that. And
Right.
so in the past, you had to get really creative about how you were going to cover that moment. Now, I can actually create a young Amir sitting in his room listening to a radio and then turned it into video, which I've done for the film. And so all everybody's stories, it doesn't matter what they told me, stories of sitting in their room or sneaking into their brother's room to listen to his Born to Run album, when he was off to work. I mean, these were things that you'd never have footage of before, and now I can create it. And that's just an incredible, incredible thing. They ultimately see the light of day. I'm putting them into the film now, and then, when it gets to the point that I send it to them, if they say, whoa, 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 then I'll have to take that stuff out,
Right.
right? But
Yeah.
you always make the film first the way you envision it, right? So
Yeah.
I've been able to take some really like classic old photos of him and colorize them and make them move and make them alive, right? So it's literally footage of a young Bruce, not just
Hmm.
an old black and white photo of him. Now it's in color and it's moving. And I think that that's an amazing thing to be able to do because it puts people in that moment. We're so used to seeing just the black and white photo and that has an emotion to it. But Asbury had color, I mean, Bruce,
Yeah.
the young, vibrant young dude, and I like being able to show it in that way to make it feel a little bit more like what it was really like to, if you saw him, in Asbury in 72. And I could have never done those things before. That was stuff that was just, you dreamt of it. So it's been the storytelling is compelling and I love the film already. I'm in love with it and I'm already getting precious over moments in it as I'm putting it together. But it's also a joy to be able to see what I can do. And every day I get up and I sit down at the machine and I'm looking at things and I'm working with footage and clips and photos and seeing what I can create. And it's a very creative period for me. So I really enjoy it. So it's coming great.
In I don't want to speak out of turn, but the film kind of led to us to get new recordings of Springsteen music from a very special musician, isn't it?
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about how this happened.
Well, I was doing the first run of filming on the East Coast. The last
Yeah.
day that I filmed, I stopped into Asbury and I shot some B-roll there.
Yeah.
And then I hooked up with Stan and I was going to interview him, and Alexandra Jardvold was there. And I had wanted to interview her because I knew about her and that she had played for Springsteen fan gatherings both in Europe and in the States,
Yeah.
and had done some things for the Spring Nuts too. And she was known by the Springsteen fans, so I wanted to meet her and interview her too, and she was willing to. And she's just a great spirit, and she did a great interview. Stan did a great interview that day, right in front of the old carousel where we all see these photos of them filming now, but that's where we shot the interviews. And she brought her guitar along, and when she was done, she's like, "How about I play a song?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And she did this amazing version of My City of Ruins right in front of the carousel, and I filmed it, and you'll see some footage of that in the movie. And we just got to talking afterwards, and she said, if there's anything I could do to support the film, let me know if maybe I can help with some music or things like that. And I said, great. And I stayed in touch with her. And once I got done with the filming, I reached out and talked to her, and she said, I'll do whatever you want. And I said, well, we have very limited funds, and she said, doesn't matter. We'll just get involved and we'll just, do this. And
Mm.
so we worked out a list of songs together that we thought that she might be good with. And then she emailed me like a couple days later. She said, well, I think this is turning into a whole album for me. Is it okay if I release an album? I said, okay, it's your music, of course.
Yeah.
You do your thing. And I got a preview of it. And I know everybody's heard it now, but I was just my jaw was on the ground with what she did. She did these beautiful, beautiful acoustic reinterpretations of these songs in such a beautiful way, because she gets down to just the very essence of the song, right?
Yes.
And it's beautiful. You're going to hear many of those songs in the film in different places.
Well, I just think that's such a bonus gift because I had her on the podcast and just fell in love with her. She is so charming. She has such a beautiful voice. And to get this, she had done other stuff and done shows, but I don't think in her mind this had been something that she was necessarily going to do.
Right.
That's a pretty cool thing. So good for
Yeah,
you.
she just realized it when she was working with the other guitar player she works with,
Yeah.
and these songs were pouring out of her, these
Yeah.
reinterpretations, and they're just gut-wrenchingly beautiful. And so I've been very blessed on the film because you have them, and of course you have my pals in December too, who have given
Yes.
me, I think, 6 songs to contribute to it too. And they're an incredible group. I know you know them as well.
Yes.
So we have a lot of really great interpretations of Springsteen songs by fans who happen to be musicians in the
Yeah.
film. And I think that that's how it should be. You'll hear some of Bruce playing, of course, too, especially live stuff. But I think, a film about the fans, when you have fans that are musicians, it's just another extension of it and shows how he's impacted other musicians, and to have them be able to contribute to the film in that way, to play their part by adding their interpretation of a Springsteen song, or Alexandra's in this case, is that's how it should be.
So I'm going to ask this a weird way, but when you order a pizza from Domino's on their app, it shows you where you are. Oh, it's been ordered. It's in the oven. It's doing quality check. It's on the delivery. So if there was a David Barry film app, where are we in the process?
It's in the oven. So the film, I can tell you, it feels right now like it's mostly going to take a chronological path with some deviations in the middle, okay?
Okay.
8 different points. Using AI to help me transcribe everything and catalog everything that everybody said and get into a database, and then I can search it and do all that has been wonderful. Interview, which I did, and I cut everybody everything that everybody said onto different timelines based on what the questions were. And you did an interview, so
Yeah, yeah, sure.
everything you said got placed onto a thing, and now I'm going through them all and trimming them down and honing them. It was about 30 hours of content, I think, of just people talking and answers that will get whittled down to, I think, a 2-hour film. I'd love to keep it under 2 hours, but with 240 people, I don't think I can. I can tell you that I've I'm past, that point of putting everybody on things, and now I'm going through the process. Today I was working on a section on the Darkness album,
Hmm.
and in the first, I've got about 30 minutes of the film that is like cut, that's colored, has graphics, has all the B-roll, even has placeholder music underneath it. About 30 minutes worth right now. And that has 85 people in it already, just in that
Wow.
first 30 minutes, right? So I'll be able to get to that 200 number without a problem. Now, what that means is by the time I get through with this first cut on it, it's going to be long. It's going to be probably about 3 hours long. And then I will whittle it down to the 2 hour mark. So it will be in the delivery car when I get to the 3 hour mark that I'm just trying to whittle down. Because then it's literally like just watching it every day and going, oh, okay, I don't need that person there or what they're saying there because I have them further down and I pull
Yeah.
that out. And
Yeah.
it's just chiseling it till I get it to the point that I feel good. That's when it's out for delivery, right? And then how long will that take? Not as long as you would think, but a little longer than I thought because of how much I've been able to do with artificial intelligence. It does slow me down a little bit because these things have to render, right?
Yeah.
So like, it's like I'm telling the computer to draw something and it has to draw it. And then I got to take that drawing and I use another tool to animate it to bring it to life. And so
Hmm.
that slows it down a little bit, but I still think end of February, I'm going to have probably the 3 hour version, and then it'll be moving to the delivery car. And then it'll take another month. Now, what does that mean? I was speaking with my friend Howie Chaz,
The great Howie Chaz.
and he was asking me about the premiere because everybody wants to know about the premiere. Last time I
Sure.
did a public update, they all asked about it. So then he called me, and he would love to help me do an event to do it in Jersey, maybe around a serenade if possible. We'll see. I was thinking April, May, I'd probably be showing this film to people. May is a bad time for me to show this film. Can you guess why?
Oh, tour starts again.
The tour starts. Everybody's going to be in Europe, right? So
Yes.
nobody's going to want to, So at that point, I'm probably going to have to wait. And I think that he's right. As much as I hate that idea, I think he's right. So if I can get it done so that I can show it in April, I'll show it in April. But I'm kind of mentally preparing myself that I may have to wait till after the tour.
To
When I do that, I want as many people to be able to attend it and see it as possible.
Yeah. So I've heard a lot of podcasts and interviews with TV writers, film writers, showrunners, and they'll talk about that editing and the joke about killing your babies. Sometimes the favorite joke or the favorite scene has to go to serve the better story. You haven't gotten to that part yet, but I assume that will happen, right?
Yes, that's when I go from the 3 hours to the 2 hours.
Right.
And there'll be a lot of things that I'm crying about having to cut out.
Yes.
Um, and then from there, even a film like this, especially a documentary like this, it's kind of a living, breathing thing. And so even after I show it to people, expect it to still get tweaked. And then if it does actually make its way to a streaming service, expect it to get tweaked for that. But
Now, Dave, are you still thinking you might want to try a couple of festivals?
yeah, of course, I want everybody to see the film, but I
Yeah.
am even more committed to this concept as I've gone through this process now. I've talked with you and 239 of our closest friends, and I have all their stories, and it's a responsibility that I feel a tremendous weight. The good news that I will tell you is that what we have captured quite literally, and it's going to sound ridiculous for me to say this, and I promise, if you think I'm wrong after you've seen the film, you reach out and tell me. But
Okay.
we have literally captured Bruce Springsteen's legacy. Okay, there's
Nice.
just no other way to put it. And in trying to grapple with that in my head, at first it scared me and freaked me out a little bit,
Sure.
but there's just no other way to describe this. And so what does that mean? It means that my responsibility is more to the story than to anything else, right? And What's most important to me is that it is told completely and told right. Everything else comes after that, right? So I will finish the film and show it to Bruce, and hopefully, I mean, not him personally, I'll send it into their management and hopefully I'll hear something.
Yeah.
They'll, congratulations, this is amazing, go out and see what you can do with it. If they ask me to change some things, then I'll make some changes to things. I don't know whether they would or wouldn't. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And then it will go to the archive. The archive gets everything as well, because I just really believe in that 100-year concept, which is that you make a film like this for people to be able to study it in 100 years, because in 100 years time, people will look at clips of Bruce playing Born to Run in MetLife Stadium and go, wow, that's amazing. There's 80,000 people there and they're all on their feet, but they won't know why.
Yeah.
Why was it so important? Why did it touch people like that? This film tells them. This is his legacy. It explains it. And that's a powerful, amazing thing. And so I need to make sure that the story is right in that sense, first and foremost, before I think about a festival, before I think about a streaming service, anything else. I just want the story told A to Z completely as best as I possibly can. And then we'll see what happens with it. So if a festival looks at that and says, wow, that's amazing, and we want to show it, great. But I'm not going to cut it with a festival in mind, trying to make it as marketable as possible, right? I
Right.
want to tell the story, because the story is too important not to.
Because yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. Because I'm thinking of my son, and if he has kids one day, right, and I'm gone, he could say, "Yeah, your grandpa loved Bruce Springsteen." Oh, really? Why? Well, here's a good example. He's
Yep.
actually in this a little bit. He's got a few seconds with it, but I used to say the Tom Zimney Dream Baby Dream,
Hmm.
that he did. I said, I think that captures the feeling of a Bruce show.
Hmm.
And so I think if you can figure out a way, and that's pretty powerful.
Yep. You guys did a great job telling the story.
Yeah.
So now it's my job to weave it together. And before you know it, it's going to be time to show it to everybody. And I'm really looking forward to that.
So now it's just I know of of in 2016 I went to Kentucky, and my wife and I did a Kentucky bourbon tour. And we called it our Bruce and Bourbon tour because
Yep,
we did all these Kentucky breweries. And someone said, time and patience are bourbon's best friends
that's right.
because it has to sit in the barrel, and it takes time, and you have to have patience to let it age. And I guess as a filmmaker and as an audience, we have to have time and patience too, correct?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But it's coming. And, the response to the trailer was amazing. And, all I did was post it on my Facebook page and the Tramps Facebook page, and Howie put it into the page, and Audrey put it on her page. And then kind of from there, it took its own life. But I mean, that thing got almost 60,000 views. So
Wow. That's great.
that's nobody really knowing about it other than, the
Yeah,
people.
just the family. Yeah.
So the next one will probably do even more than that, because it will have been shared by a lot more and people are looking forward to it, right? So it's exciting. I mean, I think there's a lot of appetite for it. The response was overwhelmingly positive on the trailer, which you never know. I was really worried about that, because the first trailer has to be, there's an art to how you put these things together. And a film usually gets a couple of trailers, sometimes even three. These days, you want to cut a trailer always at 2 minutes and 20 seconds or less. That's because the funny thing about algorithms and Twitter and things like that, you can post a link to Twitter at any length, but if you post the video, it's got to be 2 minutes and 20 seconds or less, right?
Okay.
And it shows up in people's feeds differently and it plays back differently. So you get more of a viewing from it that way. So there's all these things you have to do. Now, you have a film that's got 240 people telling this big, big, deep, complex story. How do you communicate that in 2 minutes and 20 seconds? The answer is you really kind of can't. All you can
Right.
do is a big arcing overview of what this thing is going to be, right? Try to give a flavor of it, show the fact that it's going to have a lot of people in it. I think, were 36 people in that 2 minutes and 20 seconds. It was a big amount of people I got. And
Yeah.
then there you heard a lot of accents in there.
Yeah.
But does it necessarily get to the like a couple of points in there that do, right? But people loved it. So if they love that, when they see the film, they're really gonna,
That's great.
you know,
When do you think we'll hear something next? What's the next? You talked about, so it's in the oven now. When do you think when should we do another update?
when I've got the full, when it's in the delivery car,
Okay.
when I've got the full film A to Z that's long, that I may even, I'll actually ask a few people to see. You'll probably be one of them, so you'll
Yeah.
probably get to see it in its length.
Yeah.
um, just to see the full story, because I do believe that while I want everybody to be surprised, I'm sure that I can trust you not to tell people what you saw. But
Yes. Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I think that getting feedback from people and getting opinions and other eyes is really, really valuable and important, especially when
Good.
you're doing it all yourself. I don't know, 15 to 20 people working on posts. There'd be
Yeah.
several editors. There'd be, it's just me doing all this.
Yeah.
So, I need additional eyes on it eventually. But when we hit that 3 hour, when I'm transitioning it to the car for the delivery, that's when we'll
Good.
do that. And that'll probably be end of February, hopefully.
Gosh, that's soon.
Yeah, we're almost in February. Might be in
Yeah.
March. Now that I think
Yeah.
about it, it's just a month.
Yeah.
February.
Just
I'm
short month.
already at that point where every day I'm just looking at a timeline and I'm taking things out. I color it and I mix the audio and I'm putting in the photos and videos and things like that. So it's at that point of editing, it's past just the story point now, right? I
Yeah.
have the story broken out now. So now it's kind of borderline finishing.
Any final thoughts before I get you out of here and let you get back to
No,
hopefully resting?
thank you for
No.
your willingness to keep helping me update people, and
Yeah.
for your support and belief in the film. And it's coming together. And I'll send you some clips to take a look at.
Listeners, just follow your Facebook page, right? That's where the biggest updates are going to come, correct?
Yep.
And the website, right?
Uh, DavidBarryFilms.com/tramps like us.
Tramps like us. That's exciting. All right. Thank you, David. This is
Just
obviously a labor of love, and we're all going to get the benefit of it. And I can't wait. So, till next month, we'll catch up then. Listeners, you know, share the good news. Go watch the trailer again. Share it to someone else. Say, hey, did you check this out? Because more goodness is coming. Thank you, David. Thank you, listeners. We'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.